the Study in Arts in the UK webinar about affordable and career-focused degrees. And I'm with many representatives from various arts universities across the UK. We're so happy to have you join us, and we're excited to share with you about the various arts universities across the UK, but also why study arts in the UK. So just a small overview about this webinar. So this is to discuss about arts, how affordable it is, and the career-focused opportunities that these degrees offer. We're going to go over the UK study expert and just some overview of why study arts in the UK and the differences between studying in the UK versus the US, the UK economy and employability, affordability and finance, which is so important to so many students, especially with how expensive arts schools here are in the US. And then we're going to explore some of our top arts universities at the end of this webinar. We are also going to go over some question and answers at the end, so you'll have that opportunity to ask any questions through the chat box. You can ask any questions throughout the chat, but we will be answering them at the end of this webinar. So just to tell you about the UK Study Expert, we are a search engine for students trying to match their academic profile to UK universities. We have over 30 UK university partners and growing. Our students can use our search engine platform, or they can use our UK University quiz. It's a very simple, easy process, and they get to learn their top 5 choices at the end through the quiz. But on the search engine, they can go through all the various universities, check out their UK entry requirements, and see if they're a good match. So there's a few different ways of doing that. The UK Study Expert also provides articles and different information about how to apply, some new trends that are happening, especially with UCAS and the reference letter. We have just put out a new article today about that. We're also talking about, we also have college fair information about where our universities are going to be at, and so much more. So now I am going to take it to Jenny, who is going to discuss why choose arts in the UK.
Thank you, Jackie. So I get to go first, really, just to give you the headlines about why students should consider studying arts in the UK. And of course, one of the most important points really is just that the UK is a hub for the creative industries. If you think about the impact and influence the UK has had in art, fashion and music, then we really do punch far above our weight in terms of creative output. Creative courses in the UK are delivered by specialist institutions. They're highly specialised in the courses they deliver, but all of our universities are public universities. So the experience that students have is really kind of more akin to what students might expect from a private art school in the US. We have focused courses in the UK. So when students apply to a UK university, they apply to study a specific course. So they study that course right from the start throughout their entire degree. So it really is a very deep dive into your subject. Of course, the creative industries in the UK make a significant contribution to the UK economy. And I know we're going to expand on that further later in the presentation, but it is the fastest growing sector of the UK economy. And of course, creative jobs are at much less risk of automation than a lot of other industries. So it really is a very future-proof career choice for students. Specialist arts universities in the UK have state-of-the-art industry standard facilities. So we're really preparing students well all the way through their course for entering the creative industries after they have finished their education. And we build on that with exposure to industry throughout. So for example, all of our staff are practicing artists and designers themselves, so their experience is relevant and current. We have visiting lecturers constantly coming to give students the benefit of their experience in the creative industries. And our students are constantly invited to attend industry events. So just one small example of that is our fashion design students that attend Graduate Fashion Week to showcase their work and to meet talent scouts that are attending to meet the kind of fresh new blood entering the industry. Next slide, please, Jackie. So I already mentioned the early degree specialism. So there's no general education requirements. So this means a bachelor's degree in the UK, a standard bachelor's degree. And I should also mention that's actually England, Wales and Northern Ireland, not Scotland, who has a slightly different system. But a standard bachelor's degree will be 3 years long. So that's already 1 year less to pay for than a US degree, and a focus on that subject all the way through. The UK is a gateway to Europe, of course, so students can take advantage of all of the culture and history right on their doorstep. And this is something that we really encourage students to get involved with and take advantage of while they're here. And that's also built into the courses. So, for example, our fashion students just got back from a trip to Milan, of course, fashion capital of Europe. And our photography students are shortly off on a trip to Berlin. So we really do take advantage of having Europe on the doorstep. And you can be in most European capitals within an hour's flight. Tuition is extremely competitive compared to US fees. So of course it will vary from city to city and university to university, but it averages around $20,000 a year plus living costs. So really very competitive compared to a US art school tuition fee. And the vast majority of universities in the UK are FAFSA accredited, and we do have international scholarships on offer. So it's always worth checking out the website of the university that you are interested in to see what is available. And I'll hand over to Josh now.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, just to reiterate that first point there. So a bachelor's program, your undergraduate degree program in the UK is 3 years as opposed to 4 years. That's the standard bachelor program. You will start to see, as you're looking through and applying for courses, a couple of differences there. So it may be that you're looking for a course and a university that offers a year in industry for a year, so like a full year's work experience as part of that degree, and that would then bump it up to a 4-year program. But the standard bachelor's program is 3 years. Another alternative which can make your degree a 4-year program as well is maybe if you have an integrated foundation year. So this is a year where you'll be getting kind of up to speed, or maybe covering a lot more general modules in your chosen subject areas. I think that's a key point to reiterate about UK degrees. Because they are 3 years, they're a little bit more intensive and a little bit solely focused on the subject area that you've chosen, as compared to a US degree where you have like majors and minors and these sorts of things, and you can cover a lot more subject areas. With a UK degree, it tends to be very much focused on the one area. So that's why if you want that more flexibility, you want to try your hand at a couple of different skill sets, maybe looking at doing a foundation program might be something that you're interested in before you go on to your degree. And many of the institutions that are on this call today will offer a foundation year that's available to students. I know ours at Ravensbourne is very much focused. You get a foundation year where you can cover lots of different areas in lots of different creative subjects and really kind of hone your abilities and choose what is the right fit subject for you. Yeah, as you'll see there's other options, of course, with degrees with professional placements, and also some degrees will also offer an integrated master's program as well. So you do your 3-year bachelor's program and then a 4th year getting your master's qualification at the end of that program as well. So there you go, just to explain the degree experience differences. The degree structure, there we go, like I mentioned, is more focused on one subject. It's not that major and minor system. There are in some cases opportunities where you can do a joint honours. So I studied history and politics, so 2 different subjects as part of your main bachelor's program, but it isn't set up in that major minor structure. With UK degrees as well, there's a more focus on self-study and research-led time. So, of course, there will be lectures, there'll be seminars, these sorts of things as well. But a lot of the onus is on you as the student to do a lot of your reading around the subject. And obviously in more creative subjects as well, a lot of that work and a lot of your examinations will be focused on the work and the projects that you've been working on and the final pieces of work that you put together. Also focused on your degree outcomes and what you get and what you learn throughout your degree as well. And in terms of our grade expectations and how you apply for the university as well, we're looking at your kind of academic qualifications and these sorts of things in order to get onto the programs. I think I'm handing over now.
Thanks, Jeff. So moving on now to accommodation. So the vast majority of universities in the UK will have accommodation options available. Quite often they'll be on campus, or in smaller universities like my university, we work with local accommodation providers. But it is very common to have that option there because it is something that we do like to offer to students. And of course, it's part of the support that we have on offer. Students in the UK are not used to the idea of roommates. So the normal expectation in the UK is that students do have single study bedrooms. Often the accommodation is apartment style. And it's something that we do recommend to students because, of course, it's a big part of the UK university experience. And it is a great way to meet people and to make friends when you're first settling into university life in the UK. In the UK, students are expected to live an adult independent lifestyle. So, of course, there is support available and help available from the universities, but students do live independently with kind of less oversight of daily life from the university. And of course, in the UK, students are treated as adults from 18, with all of that entails as well. So they are able to visit pubs and clubs from the age of 18. So it is a more adult and independent lifestyle. At universities in the UK, we don't generally have fraternities or sororities, but the social life is really based around clubs and societies on campus. They're a really big part of the social life of a UK university. And they're normally run by the Students' Union, the SU, which is a really big part of any university life. And the SU, as well as organising clubs and societies, is also the voice of the student body. So they're there to represent the students' interest. So, and a lot of the time they are run by the students themselves as well. So the academic year in the UK is normally split across 3 terms, which we call the autumn term rather than the fall term. So it is the autumn term, the spring term, and the summer term, but teaching is normally delivered across 2 semesters. And of course, there is learning support available on campus as well, and that is normally split between academic support and student welfare support. So if any student needs any pastoral support or counselling services, that is available on campus as well. Next slide, please, Jackie. Thank you. So in the UK, when students apply to universities, they normally apply through the UCAS system, which is the Universities and Colleges Admissions System. So this is almost like the UK version of the Common App, although a lot of universities will also take direct applications, but UCAS is normally the main focus for undergraduate applications. The UCAS system allows students to submit 5 applications to universities. So it's 1 application that goes to 5 universities. So each university will receive the same application. So it is very important to keep it focused on the course rather than any university in particular. And of course, applications in the UK to creative courses will often, in fact, nearly always require a portfolio or an audition to support an application. This is not something that can be uploaded through the UCAS system. So we would always recommend to students that they keep an eye on their emails or the individual university websites for the guidance and instructions on what they're looking for in a portfolio and how to submit that portfolio or audition. Some universities might also offer an interview as well for creative courses. And of course, in the UK, a portfolio is generally focused on process as much as it is on the finished project. So we'd recommend that students maybe create a basic portfolio and then tweak it for each university choice that they apply to according to the guidance from that individual university. And when an application is processed by a UK university, then students will generally receive an offer, which could be an unconditional offer, which means that the place is guaranteed, or it could be a conditional offer, which means that you are offered a place subject to meeting certain conditions, which is normally based on academic conditions. But we do look at applications holistically. So we look at grades, references, the personal statement, portfolios, and an interview if required. And now I'll hand over. I'm not sure who's coming next. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's you, Jessica.
Me.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, sorry to disappoint everyone. When you're thinking about careers in the creative industry, it's also important to think about what you might want to study. So employment opportunities and also degree programs can be broken down into these general categories in the UK. And, you also don't have to work specifically in creative industries to work in the creative industry. There are plenty of opportunities to work in accounting, human resources, and other kind of areas of these creative businesses. But when you're looking at actual creative degrees, these are sort of the areas. Common ones that students will look into are advertising and marketing and media communications programs, design arts and visual arts, the performing arts like music and theater, and also IT services and computer services related to like games programming, digital arts computing, artificial intelligence, all those things that are kind of coming up nowadays. And when you're looking at universities, it's important to also reach out to careers services when you're enrolling. So it's not just something that you use when you graduate. The career service is important to use throughout your time at university. The career service can offer things like professional placements and internships. Some universities also offer a year in industry. So there's plenty of opportunity to get experience and build a portfolio while you're at university. They can also help with mock interviews and interview preparation. They can help with CV and resume building. There's also plenty of opportunities at most universities to connect with industry leaders. Oftentimes they have lectures and workshops where people that actually work in the creative industries come and either teach a taster course or provide a workshop to students. And these are things you can reach out to your department about at your university or the career service as a whole. But there's plenty to do with the career service at each of our universities while you are on campus. A lot of students just kind of come towards the end of their third year, and I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not taking advantage of them throughout your whole time. There's also advice about the post-study work visa. So if you are looking to remain in the UK for an additional 2 years to work, our career service and immigration offices can point you in that direction as well. And after you leave, there's plenty of entrepreneurial opportunities in the UK. A lot of our universities offer grants for students to start their own business or go freelance. And career services can also help you do that as well. I'll pass it off to Jessica.
Great, thanks, Will. So I'm just going to provide a little bit more of a broader context of what Will was speaking on with the career opportunities. So if we look at the UK in terms of the creative economy and what is available in terms of professional opportunities and industry opportunities. So we know that up until 2019, the creative economy had contributed £116 billion to the UK economy in general. And this is actually greater than a number of really key industries that we often think of when we think of kind of massive economic contributors. So aerospace, automotive, life sciences, oil and gas, and so on. So what Jenny said at the beginning really resonated for me, that the creative industries really do punch above their weight class with the UK. Globally, the export level is very strong. Now, you will note that the 2019 year is a bit of dated, perhaps. We do have more recent information that indicates that the gross value added contribution of the creative industries remained quite strong through the pandemic. In 2021 and in 2022, the growth of the creative industries outpaced the UK economy in general. So we know that we heard a lot that the creative industries took a hit. We know the theaters were closed. We know a lot of public venues had to adjust how they operated. But we know that they were able to adapt and adjust their practices because we know that creative people are innovators. And as a result from that, they came out of the pandemic even stronger than they were before. And so that's a real testament to the strength of the creative industries. Something that's really interesting to note, we have a lot of research that indicates that creative jobs are more difficult to automate and require a higher level of skill than a lot of the general roles in the economy. So here we say that 83% of creative occupations are classified as a higher level occupation or highly skilled occupation, compared to 46% of the general UK workforce. And about 1 in 8 companies in the UK are a part of the creative industries. Next slide. So this is just a little bit more about the creative economy. Again, a slide from 2019, but I can back it up with more recent data. In 2019, 2.1 million jobs were in the creative industry in the United Kingdom. And as recent as September 2021, so right in the heart of the pandemic, that had grown to almost 2.3 million creative industry jobs. And what's really interesting about that statistic is the split between those who are in permanent employment roles with a company or an organization and those who are self-employed or freelance. And you will see that 1/3 of those jobs are freelance or self-employed. And that's a very common pathway for creatives and artists. And it's not necessarily that you can't find a job with a company or an organization, but that you get to maintain a lot of creative control by being self-employed or freelance. So this is a very popular pathway, and you can see the strength that it offers people working in the creative industries. So overall, we know that the creative industries were not as hard hit by the pandemic as was originally thought.
So just a few slides just to talk about the fees and funding side of things, which I know probably doesn't sound like the most exciting of topics, but is really, really important, and hopefully some really, really good news when it comes to talking about the UK. So a key thing to note is that the US funding options are accepted widely. So I think all of the universities on here will accept the FAFSA funding, Sallie Mae. So you've taken your loans that you may be taking to study in a US institution. Many of the UK institutions will also accept this funding. And myself and my colleagues on this team take a very active role as part of that in terms of handling your inquiries, helping out with those funding questions and producing any letters and documentation that you need in order to get that funding approved. We've also mentioned that the GI Bill, the Veterans Funding Program that's available. This is a bit more on an institution by institution basis. So some institutions are able to accept this, others are not. And it also only applies to specific programs as well. So do bear that in mind, but if you're looking at using that as one of your funding routes, and feel free to reach out to the university that you're applying for in order to discuss this. You apply for these funding in exactly the same way that you do for a US college. We're all part of the same systems, and we will be able to process that funding for you. But it's also important to note that each individual university will also have their own scholarship systems with a wide variety of funding on offer. So that ranges from merit-based scholarships. If you've already studied at an institution before, there's a number of different alumni awards as well. And we've also mentioned that a lot of universities will also offer sports scholarships, although I think it is important to note that they differ quite a lot in the UK than they do for a typical US institution sports scholarship. Most scholarships in the UK aren't for full funding as well, although there may be some of those options available to you, but all universities will offer some form of scholarship as well. So do check each individual institution's website for more information about that. This is just a sample budget that we've included, so both in Great British pounds and US dollars. As Jenny mentioned earlier, the average tuition fee rate, so just for your teaching, is around $20,000 per year. Accommodation for that varies wildly depending on where you're staying in the country, so it can be as little as $5,000 rather per year, up to around $11,500 per year. I would say on that top end is probably more the London-based institutions, of which I am representing one of them. It does tend to be a little bit on the pricier side in terms of your accommodation, as does your living expenses as well. So things like food, your phone bills, and all of this sort of thing. Next slide, please. But I think this, just looking at the tuition fees as well, really puts it into context, the affordability of studying in the UK compared to some of the US institutions that you're looking at. As you'll see there, for a UK institution, it's about half the price per year as some of the leading arts institutions in the US. And again, really important to reiterate that point, for a bachelor's degree program in the UK, it's typically a 3-year program rather than a 4-year program. This graph does just look at the tuition fees, so it doesn't include those things like accommodation that we talked about in the previous slide, or different things on top of that you may be required as part of your degree as well. Although this is maybe something that we can talk about in the questions later as well. I know at Ravensbourne, we do offer a lot of different services. So any specialist packages, software, these sorts of things, and a lot of your filming equipment or sewing machines, if you're a fashion student, a lot of this is readily available on our campuses as well as part of your fees as well. So sometimes you may have to pay for extra things on top of that, but in many cases, there's the availability of these things within your institutions too.
So just to kind of give you some resources when searching for different universities, or just about the UK process, the UK Study Expert website is very helpful when it comes to just information about, for counselors or for students, about the different processes or what to look out for when looking to study in the UK, from funding to scholarships and so forth. But also these other websites like UCAS. So UCAS is ucas.ac.uk. Not only are they a great, they have the the application itself, but it's a search engine for courses if you're looking for a specific course. They also offer information of how to write a personal statement and so forth. You can also look on each individual university pages about virtual tours. And there's also, if you're a college counselor, many different universities offer counselor fly-ins. The UK Study Expert, we will be doing a London College Counselor Tour this May. We've already sent out our invites. If you're interested for 2024, definitely reach out to us for that. But yeah, there's plenty of different resources out there available to guide you. Now I'm going to take it to Bournemouth.
Hello again. I just want to quickly introduce my institution. As I said, my name is Jessica. I'm at the Arts University, Bournemouth. We do have a long history, established in 1885. We weren't a university at that time. One of the systems of the UK is that our institutions have evolved to meet the needs of the local and national economy. So we have always had at our heart the arts. We have always been an arts institute, but just about 20 years ago, we were given university status. So always an arts institution, most recently a university. We are a medium-sized university in the UK with just about 4,000 students from 65 different countries. And all of our students study on one purpose-built campus. So all of our facilities were built for the purpose of the studies and the courses that we offer, which is really great in terms of offering you the studio space that you need to do your work. A couple of things I just want to highlight. The buzzword that we use all the time is collaboration. You come in with your passion for your discipline and what you love to do, and we want to give you the tools and the skills to be able to create that, but also the ability to build your professional network, not only within your discipline, but across all the different creative disciplines we offer at AUB. So we talk about collaboration and finding those relationships and those synergies that will bring your work to life. So one of the examples of this is we're the home of the Bournemouth Film School. And of course, our film production degrees fall within that school, but as does our costume, our acting, our creative writing, our animation. So many different disciplines come together to make those moving image pieces. It's a wonderful opportunity to be involved in that. And a couple of alumni you might have heard of. Edgar Wright is a filmmaker. You might know his work. Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead. He's most recent One Night in Soho. And Tom Hovey may not be a name you know, but you probably know his work. He's an illustrator and he works on The Great British Bake Off. So if you've ever seen Bake Off and you see the beautiful pictures of all the work that they do, all the cakes that they're baking, it's an AUB alum from our illustration course who does all those drawings. And we have our Instagram is on, our prospectus is on Instagram. So it's organic, it changes all the time, and I highly recommend you check it out. Thanks very much.
So since Rachel is sick for today's webinar, I will be covering for Falmouth University today. Falmouth University is the #1 creative industries university in the UK, ranked by Sunday Times Good University Guide for 2023. It has been, Falmouth has been teaching for over 120 years. We have about 5,000 students from over 53 different countries. And we have an average class about 15 to 18 students per class. And it's a very future focused curriculum. So these students are in the industry, learning from industry experience and gaining those skills in the classroom of what the industry expects. Falmouth is located southwest of England, about 5 minutes from the beach. There's surfing, sailing, hiking, all that. So if you have any students who are outdoorsy, loves that, you know, quintessential British town, this is a great option. And it's a very safe and vibrant, creative community. It's the second safest university town in England and Wales. And Falmouth really focuses on employability. So we are #1 in the UK for graduates starting or managing their own business. And we have a entrepreneurial hub where students can, you know, get some feedback about any businesses that they want to create. And it's just a beautiful town to be in that creative mindset. Now I'll pass it on to Goldsmiths.
Hello, everyone. I'll keep this brief. So Goldsmiths is a comprehensive university that is part of the University of London. We've been around since 1891, and we have an urban single-site campus that's around 10 minutes from London city centre. We have a train station that sits right outside of our main gate, and you can be at the Shard and London Bridge in 8 minutes. We have 10,000 students on our campus from over 140 countries, so we're about 38% international. And while we are a comprehensive university that offers things aside from art and design and the arts, we are very prominent in art and design. We are among the top 10 universities in the world for fine art and design programs. We also are ranked in the top 10 for media and communications, which includes our screen school for film and television production. We also are ranked among the top 50 in the world for music and theater. And inside theater, we have musical theater conservatory as well. We also are ranked 9th in the UK for research intensity this year. And a cool feature about Goldsmiths is our entrepreneurial program. About 15% of our students do go on to create their own business within a year of graduation. And that's particularly prominent in the arts fields. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Hi everyone. So just to give you a quick overview of Leeds Arts University, I think from what everyone has said so far, maybe we just pipped them all to the post in terms of age. We were established in 1846. So we have been at the forefront of UK art and design education for 177 years now. And we are the only specialist arts university in the north of England. We're very small, friendly and supportive, and in fact we came first for student support in the What Uni Student Choice Awards. We have around 3,500 students on campus, so we're very small, and we have 15 undergraduate courses, so there really are no crowds to get lost in, and our students do benefit from a lot of staff time and that very kind of personal attention, and I think that shows in our very high student satisfaction rates. So our notable alumni include Damien Hirst, who I'm sure you've heard of as the current world's highest paid living artist, Barbara Hepworth, the sculptor, and Henry Moore, the sculptor as well. And we have the Barbara Hepworth Gallery just down the road, and the Henry Moore Sculpture Park, which is a lovely place to wander around on a weekend afternoon. Leeds is one of the biggest cities in the UK outside of London, and it's a very exciting, rapidly growing city with a thriving arts scene. It's very much a cultural hub of the North, and it's very much a student-focused city. So we have 6 universities in total in Leeds, so it's very student-focused with loads going on. We have industry standard facilities and a real focus on employability throughout all the 3 years of study. And that is our website there if you want to check it out. Thank you.
And from the oldest university in our group to the youngest university in our group. So Ravensbourne was granted university status in 2018. So a very modern and a forward-thinking approach, which is different to quite a lot of the more older, more traditional universities. Although I say we granted university status in 2018, we were originally the Bromley School of Art, which was around since the 1870s. So there is a long history still there of teaching arts-based subjects. And we are a small specialist institution based in the heart of London's design district. So it's in an area called Greenwich. It's right by the O2 Arena if you've visited London before, which is where loads of massive gigs and sports events take place. But the design district is a new up and coming vibrant area of London where a lot of small design-based startups have their headquarters. All of our courses include mandatory work experience placements as part of them. So again, like a couple of the other institutions have mentioned, although we are a creative institution, we are also really focused on one eye on employability as well. We want to make you the most creative candidates you can be, but also the most employable candidates that you can be. 90% of our students are in employment or further study following their graduation. And some of our notable alumni include David Bowie, who I'm sure you are familiar with, and Claire Waite-Keller, who was the artistic director of Givenchy, who designed Meghan Markle's wedding dress. We have multiple intakes across the year in many of our subjects as well. So traditionally in the UK, you begin your course in September, but we also have a January and May intake as well. And one of the only UK universities that actually exhibits their students' work at London Fashion Week. Just to put as my final point a bit of a US spin on this, we recently had a couple of collaborations with Nike and the Obama Foundation based in Chicago as well. So we've very much sent a couple of our students out there to work on a big project with Nike Air Jordans. And so very much like focused on the US and have lots of working relationships there too.
Great, thank you, everyone. So now we're going to go into questions. And if you, for our audience today, if you could wait to listen to all the questions, we will have a survey that should pop up at the end. We'd love to hear your thoughts and if we can improve after this webinar. But now like I said, we are going to take some questions from you guys. If you'd love to, if you have any questions, please pop it in the chat. And this is also our contact information if you want to reach out and ask us about our universities or about our services. If you so if you want to grab that information, take a picture of that just in case. Any questions so far for our universities today? I'll give you guys a few minutes. Okay, this one is specifically for Josh from Ravensbourne. Are there any performing arts at Ravensbourne?
No, so unfortunately not. So most of our creative subjects tend to be, so in film and TV, it's more the production side of things. There are things like obviously fashion and those sorts of things as well. Performing arts, unfortunately, we don't have. It's more the production side of things when it comes to things like film and TV.
Great, thanks for that. Hudson says, I was curious, for the universities that offer creative writing programs, what would those look like? Who'd like to start?
I could say something about our creative writing program. So we offer creative writing at undergraduate level, which in the UK is slightly unusual. It is normally a postgraduate level course. So it's a really, really good course for students that are interested in creative writing right out of high school. Of course, it's a 3-year course like our other ones. And it's a small course. We normally have around 25 students per year on the course. So they really are a really close-knit group, and they work together throughout the whole year in one classroom. So they do get to know each other very well and support each other in their writing. And the idea of our creative writing degree is that we support the students to become the kind of writer they want to be. So if they want to be a poet, if they want to be a journalist, then we are there to enable and support that rather than to direct their work.
Can I just add a little bit as well? One of my favorite things is we also do creative writing as an undergraduate. One of my favorite things is creative writing existing in a creative community. And so there's so much opportunity for that collaboration and cross-pollination. So we had a couple of years ago, Mary Shelley is from Bournemouth originally, is actually buried at one of the churches. And they did a celebration of the anniversary of the writing of Frankenstein. It was the 200-year anniversary. And the creative writing students wrote kind of this performance piece that our costume students built the pieces for, and our actors performed, and they did this campus takeover involving Mary Shelley. And it was so wonderful to see kind of at the heart of that was the creative writing students who really led that project and drew from the maybe perhaps more forward-facing parts of the campus. So it was really great. So it's really fun to see creative writing exist within these very visual arts or performing arts-based courses.
Josh, Will?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I mean, just to kind of expand on the sort of cross collaboration. Obviously, London's a great place to study creative writing because it's kind of the head of publishing in the UK, so you have a lot of direct access to the industry. But at Goldsmiths in particular, we do a writing center called the Pinter Center, which is in addition to our English department's creative writing center, but it's a cross-departmental writing center. So if students in our English and creative writing program are interested in screenwriting or playwriting, or working in sort of like the journalism or media fields, it's a cross-departmental research center where students can kind of access different writers across the university. So really cool program.
And I can be incredibly brief on that one because we don't unfortunately have a creative writing program.
And for Falmouth, they have a really great creative writing department. I know that they work directly with professors who are authors who understand the industry, and it's not just about writing creatively, but it's also about how to market yourself in the field, working with publishers, what are the next steps in those industries. So it's a little bit more business minded as well as, creative, writing creatively. The next question, do you offer advanced portfolio review? I'd like to start.
We can do if people get in touch to request it, yes.
Yeah, so we host a number of different virtual sessions, which, this is something that I'll be able to share with Jackie as well. And with anyone who's attended these events, we have various points throughout the year where we have portfolio workshop sessions, both virtual and in person, if you happen to be in the UK as well.
Great, thanks. For all, on the topic of GCSEs, do we have to take them beforehand or are SATs enough?
No, I mean, the GCSEs where they're required would only probably be required from students educated in the British system. So they would probably be taking A levels or BTECs or something else. A student who is not educated in the British system, I think I can say confidently, would not be asked to present GCSEs. If you're in the US system doing a US high school diploma, then SATs might be appropriate, or APs or some other. Each university might have a slightly different policy. But no one's rushing out to take GCSEs, I don't think. I think you'll be safe.
And just to add to that, all of our universities on the UK Study Expert website, they list their clear, transparent US entry requirements on each of their pages. So definitely check it out. It will not say anything. It will not even, explain GCSEs on their university profiles. It is basically clarifying what American students need to be admitted into that university. So The next question, what is the TV portion of film and TV programs? Do the student work in 3-camera style, or is it a live TV studio on campus?
I could go first on that one, unless anybody else wants to. But for us, our filmmaking course is a filmmaking course, so we don't actually cover TV. It's very much a focus on filmmaking because, in the words of the course leader, TV is a different beast. So we don't cover that within our course.
Yeah, I'll come in from Ravensbourne. So we have 2 separate programs. We have a digital film production course and a digital television production course. So as you mentioned, Jenny, they are 2 different beasts. So we've got 2 different programs talking to those areas. For the TV program, it's exactly what you say. It includes a combination of both of those. So the different camera styles that are susceptible for working in TV, but we also do have a live TV, a TV studio on campus, and many of those projects work with recorded, but live TV as well. So all of that is covered as part of the program.
And for Falmouth University, yes, they look at both film and separately television. I believe they did have it separated, but I believe they combined the course together. But in a way, it shows the student the different styles, and then the student can hone in which area that they want to specialize in at the end. They look at all various areas of TV and film.
I think this, before we go on to the next question, it's another one of those occasions, like we mentioned earlier, about if you're not sure whether it's the TV route or the film route that you're looking at going to, maybe looking at one of those programs that does combine it. Or this is another area where I know for Ravensbourne, this is something that you go through. If you do that foundation year, you cover both different aspects of that, and you kind of choose onto the degree program.
I'll just quickly comment for Goldsmiths that we are kind of that combination program. So you'll get both the option for film and television production. We have TV studios, television journalism studios, film grade studios, and plenty of other types of equipment and facilities that students can use. And then for our master's programs, that is specifically filmmaking. So that's geared toward filmmaking only.
Great, thanks, Will. Next, Chris says, Jessica, I'm glad to hear about the film school. I also work with theater kids. Does Bournemouth have performing arts as well?
Yeah, so again, it's one of those things that fits in really well with a lot of the courses we offer. So we do have an undergraduate degree in acting, and then we also have one in dance. Our performing arts gap would be in music. Unfortunately, we're working on that. But our actors really benefit from being in a film school, but also having the stage presence. We have performance design, we have costume, and so on. So our actors really get the benefit of the training for stage, but also the opportunity to do screen work as well.
Great. And Kate asks, I was told that a student should provide a description of process with each visual art slide uploaded within their portfolio. Is this preferred or accurate?
I think with that one, then a portfolio is always going to be individual, but we do look for a bit of context with each piece. So a description of process is ideal, really, just because we want to see what the brief was and how the student responded to it and how their thought process and ideas developed within that process. So for us, the process is actually sometimes more important than the finished article.
Great answer. Thanks, Jenny. And Chris asked, Will, is there film and TV production at Goldsmiths? I saw media and communications. Will gets this question asked a lot, actually.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, we do have the film and television piece. The Goldsmiths undergraduate program is a little unique in that it is going to be both film and TV, but also that our media communications department has a very large emphasis on theory. So students will also take cultural studies, media theory, media ethics, and a range of like sociology, perhaps politics, other kinds of courses. So it's a kind of liberal arts degree in a sense, but it will be about 60% practical.
Great, thanks, Will. Phoenix asks, my daughter is interested in interior architecture. Which of these colleges provide a program in this area? Falmouth University definitely offers interior architecture, and the academic who manages the department is absolutely phenomenal. A range of experience internationally, looks at interior architecture. They're in a beautiful context, very modern, sustainable. And you also, these students that go into interior architecture at Falmouth, they win the highest awards possible in the UK. So I would definitely check that out. Jessica, I know that you also, Arts Bournemouth also has interior architecture. Is that correct? Do you want to explain a little bit about that? Okay, great. Anyone else?
Yeah, so we have interior design environment architectures is the name of the course, which is commonly, if you look at our website, abbreviated to ideas. But yes, that covers a load of those areas. It is also ARB accredited, so the Architects Registration Board. It's a 3-year degree program as well. I can maybe drop a link into the chat just a bit more about that course too.
Great, thanks, Josh.
I won't add anything to that because we don't offer it, unfortunately.
Well, do you guys offer it?
Our Department of Design doesn't have like a qualifying degree, but in our master's degrees, we do have a spaces and interiors section of our MA Design Expanded Practice. Yeah, and the research architecture program as well.
Great, awesome. Amy asked, can you discuss more about academic requirements for US students, especially the need for SATs or APs and any foundation programs, and if they are academic or artistic curriculums? Ooh, this is a mouthful. I'm happy to answer this question for you, Amy. So the UK really is very standardized test heavy, but it has lightened up since the pandemic. You are going to see a lot of universities request many AP exams or SATs or ACTs. But since this is an arts, an arts webinar, we're a little bit more flexible. All the arts universities here are much more flexible and don't require as many standardized tests as other universities do, but it ranges. So it also varies by program. So I would recommend checking the UK Study Expert website first, taking a look and seeing what their entry requirements are, each of these universities, but also reaching out to each of these. If there's a specific program that you're interested in, reach out to any of us. And they'll be able to answer based on that subject. But if your student does not have those APs, if a university is requiring APs and your student doesn't, we might be able to accept honors classes in lieu of APs, or they might just say, you know what, a foundation degree might be a better option to start the process of going into year one. So it just varies depending on the student's academic profile and what they're looking to study. And if anyone wants to add to that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Jackie, I think that was really good what you said. I think sometimes it's helpful to either remind people or explain to people that what we are looking at is the US is a 12-year schooling system and a 4-year bachelor's degree, and the UK is a 13-year schooling system and a 3-year degree, or as we said, not Scotland. And so that's the reason why we're often still holding on to those standardized tests or those AP subjects, is because we're looking to kind of mind the gap between a 12-year system and a 13-year system. So where universities are holding on to that, and the US is really moving into that test optional, test blind, tests not necessary world, which is wonderful. We're just in a slightly different position. So I think it's helpful to understand that as you look at your universities, why they might still be asking for those additional requirements.
Thanks, Jessica. Next question, overall, which universities focus the most, have the most opportunities within the area of fashion design? Anyone like to go ahead?
So we offer fashion design at undergraduate level, and we also have fashion branding with communication, which focuses kind of more on the marketing and side of fashion. But with fashion design, it's very much practice-based, garment construction. We teach things like traditional tailoring techniques, which are really valued within the industry at the moment. And there's a big emphasis on sustainability all the way through the course as well. For example, one student created her final collection out of tents that she had left, that she had collected from festivals that people had left behind. So yeah, big emphasis on sustainability all the way through. And then at postgraduate level, we offer a digital fashion course, because of course that is the direction of travel of the fashion industry as well.
Yeah, so at Ravensbourne, we've got 3 different fashion programs. Our standard BA fashion program is the more fashion design orientated program. That's where you'll be actually involved in the garment making. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a state-of-the-art atelier facility with a number of different sewing machines, digital print machines, and all of these sorts of things as well that you can use when you're putting your garments together. But we also have the fashion buying and brand program, which is more on the kind of brand management side of things, a little bit more of a business oriented program to fashion, and also fashion promotion, which is again that more marketing and exhibiting side of the fashion industry as well. And just to mention on that point, as I did touch upon earlier, our students' works is regularly exhibited as part of London Fashion Week as well. So that's a really great pull for students wanting to come and study the fashion program with us.
And for Falmouth University, we do have a fashion department. Falmouth University has a fashion department, and it ranges different styles, fashion photography, fashion art, fashion and art styling. Falmouth also, even though it's Southwest England, they do have opportunities. They go into London and so forth. So I would, just from just putting the hat on for the UK study expert, I would definitely recommend looking at the curriculum, looking at what opportunities are offered. It will show it on their website, and they will most likely have videos about their fashion department as well.
We also do have a BA in design for fashion, but I don't want to take up too much time. So you can go check us out on our website. Very focused on sustainable fashion as well.
Great, thanks, Will. Which of your universities offer architecture? And for these programs, how much architecture related experience do your applicants typically come with during high school?
We don't have architecture, so I'll just take us out.
Yeah. We do have architecture, and similar to what Josh is saying, it's accredited by the relevant British authorities for architecture. We don't actually require an extensive amount of relevant experience in architecture. To be quite frank, it's not generally available, especially in the UK. They might have done a design course, they may have an art background, they may have gone the math and physics route, and that's okay too. So what we're generally looking for, they will submit a portfolio. It doesn't have to be technical drawings. If they've got some, that's great. If they've had to play with AutoCAD, that kind of thing, that's wonderful. But what we're more looking for is their vision and their style and how they see the world. Because we are doing more the creative side of architecture. That's our focus. We still build safe buildings. We're still doing it all right, but it is that creative side of architecture. So we do like to see a portfolio that represents a broader set of skills than you might at a more like traditional architecture falling in an engineering school at another university.
I think for us, and this is a really interesting point, is why we talked about like tailoring your portfolio to the individual institution that you're applying to as well, because we do offer architecture as well, but they do want to see some examples of technical drawing. Now, your portfolio might include a variety of different works. We don't want a sole portfolio that's only focused on technical drawings, but if there's a couple of examples of that already that you've got there, that's something that's going to put your application ahead of the pack in terms of the majority of applications that we receive. And that's a surefire way to be a great candidate to coming onto one of those courses.
Okay, great. And the last question and then we'll wrap it up. For any of the universities, is it a possibility to study both academics alongside a creative degree?
I think we might suggest that what we're doing is academic. But I think I know what the question is getting at. And it's one thing, we spend a lot of time talking about the practical, hands-on industry focus, but all of our degrees have an underpinning of academic work. The students, because they are honors degrees, they will be writing a major paper at the end of their degree, usually the longest paper they've ever written before. And it is going to complement the practical work, the hands-on that they're producing. So there absolutely is an academic underpinning. But if you're talking about taking like a different subject along with the creative subject, like, I don't know, you want to do psychology and visual arts or something like that, that's a little harder to do. And that gets into what Josh was talking about, but some of the dual degrees or dual majors, honors kind of things. Some universities will offer more of that. So it just requires doing a little bit of research. If anyone else wants to add, please.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. I completely agree. It is, our courses are practice-based, but they are underpinned by the contextual learning. And there is essay writing. Even though students are assessed on what they produce creatively, there is essay writing as well, alongside, as part of the course.
For all of our creative programs, fine art being the one exception, students will have access to a full range of coursework across our university. So I kind of touched on it before with our media communications program, but even for like theater, music, all of our creative programs have theory, ethics, philosophy, either sociology, anthropology, media. It really depends on the sort of cross-referencing, but there's often a lot of opportunity to take coursework outside of solely studio-based or practice-based modules.
Great. Well, thanks, everyone. There is one question. Jackie, could you possibly send this deck? Unfortunately, we are not sending this presentation out. However, we have recorded the video and we will send you a recording. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on. Thank you to our university reps, especially the ones that are based in the UK, and it's so late out right now. We appreciate you being on tonight. If you don't mind staying on, we're going to put up I think it's going to pop up a survey, so we appreciate your feedback. Thank you, everyone, for being on, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Have a great evening.